嗨，大家好，我是 Bojji。还记得我们之前那个视频吗？在那个视频里，我谈到了 Gleipnir， 那个旨在让每个人都能接触加密货币的项目。今天我们要深入了解一下它的细节。我有幸与 Dick 进行交谈，他是 Gleipnir 背后的杰出人才。我们深入探讨了他进行加密货币世界的历程，这个革命性的项目背后的驱动力，以及他为什么让 Gleipnir 真正独一无二。这次采访充满了有价值的见解，听到 Steve 他专业背景到区块链行业未来各个方面的观点，真的非常有趣。准备好了解 Gleipnir 背后的策划者以及他如何成为普通投资者改变游戏规则吧。以下是我问 Steve 的一些关键问题，介绍一下你自己的和你的背景。
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Steve Dick. I am one of the co-founders of Gleipnir. I currently serve as the chairman and CEO. I think my professional background, my business background, brings the experience that's necessary to make Gleipnir a success. I have a university degree in economics, and while I was at university, I did study on full scholarship at two world-renowned economic institutes. A few weeks before graduation, I accepted a position at a bank working on institutional accounts, and while I was at the bank, I worked on the largest institutional transactions across the state of Alaska. I did receive a lot of international press for my work, and the bank won several very prestigious national awards for the work that I had done. And then a multi-trillion-dollar U.S. investment firm hired me to lead an office in my home state of Tennessee. So while I was there, I guided that office towards specializing in retail investors, primarily professionals and small business owners. And then in 2010, my wife and I founded and established our own investment firm, and that firm continued to specialize in retail investors. Now, my wife and I, we still serve actively on the board of directors of that particular firm. And along the way, I've earned a lot of prestigious professional credentials. I have never checked the international record myself, but I've been told that I'm the only person in the United States who holds all of these particular professional credentials. So I think I am old enough that my business decisions are tempered by the wisdom of real life experience, but I'm still young enough that I'm very, very interested in new technology. I'm very interested in new ideas. I'm very interested in new ways of doing things, and we still aggressively pursue business opportunities. The Gleipnir website does tell more about me. It has a link to my LinkedIn page for anybody who wants to see a formal resume or wants to connect with me online.
你是如何涉足加密货币领域的？
So how did I come to be in the crypto business? Well, we own the existing firm that I mentioned. In 2019, customers began asking us about crypto, but nobody at the firm knew anything about blockchain. Nobody knew anything about crypto. And by 2021, customer interest had grown to be very substantial. So in 2022, I dedicated hundreds of hours to learning about blockchain, to learning about crypto, primarily through online outlets like Ivan on Tech and some others. And as Crypto Twitter likes to say, you cannot learn about Bitcoin without becoming engaged. So I ended up opening accounts for myself and my wife and trading crypto. And now my education has continued. I attend several international conferences every year, and so that by now I've spent hundreds of hours learning about blockchain and cryptocurrency. My personal holdings include accounts at major centralized exchanges, some small online brokerages, multiple digital wallets, and my wife and I are angel investors in some very promising crypto startups. And then in the spring of 2022, I made the executive decision that our firm would start offering professionally managed crypto portfolios to our existing customers. And that firm works as a discretionary advisor. And what that means is we have all decision-making authority, all trade authority, and we have to work in our customers' best interests at all times. So what drove me to crypto and to learning about blockchain and crypto was customer interest, but what has pushed me farther and farther into the industry was the knowledge that I've gained about what blockchain is and how cryptocurrency works, and my belief the the potential of blockchain and cryptocurrency.
是什么启发你启动这个项目？
So how do we decide to do this project, or why do we decide to start doing this project? So what I've learned over the past few years is that crypto dApps and user interfaces and processes are unnecessarily cumbersome. They're awkward. They're extremely difficult for most people to access. And the reality is that they were created by developers for other developers, apparently with little or no input from business people experienced at working with the public. And I know from professional experience that most investors are not technologically advanced enough to engage the crypto process, nor are they interested enough to try to figure it out. So the result is that most potential investors never invest in crypto. And then professionally, we learned that almost nothing exists to enable professional investment firms, professional advisors to engage their customers in crypto. Now that really surprised me because 99% of investors use some type of financial intermediary to develop and manage their investment strategy and execute day-to-day trades on their behalf. But what little does exist is extremely limited functionality. Again, it's built by developers for developers. And now financial professionals are tech literate, but that's not their primary function. Their primary function is finance, so they become very, very frustrated when something that should only take a few minutes takes 30 minutes or an hour for them to accomplish. And the result is that most investment professionals have nothing to do with crypto. And the important thing to remember is that these investment professionals control hundreds of trillions of dollars in investment money. And as I researched, I learned that professional advice available to the public is very limited. It is restricted by law, mostly to wealthy investors and institutions. And those wealthy investors are paying enormous fees and receiving very little in return. So there's nothing built to scale to serve retail investors that want to invest in crypto. And so we resolved that we were going to create an organization that removes all these barriers to entry, serve retail investors by simplifying the experience to something anyone can do, and charging a reasonable fee to do that, and creating value for retail investors.
给我们介绍一下格莱普尼尔创作过程，这个想法是如何产生的，用了多长时间？
So the creation of the project, how did the idea come around? How long did it take to get where we're at? So I'm going to say I'm the primary driver behind the project. I am passionate about blockchain and crypto. I believe blockchain is going to change the entire world. The way industries function, the way human beings communicate with one another. I think crypto is a very democratizing asset, something anybody should be able to access and use to change their lives for the better. I think crypto will eventually become the world's primary form of currency, and I've felt that way since I first started learning about it a few years ago. And the idea behind the project was developed over time as we learned more and more about blockchain and crypto and platforms, interfaces, and all the behind-the-scenes support, or maybe I should say the lack of behind-the-scenes support for trading, reporting, accounting systems, and so forth. And the idea really grew out of frustration with all these overly complicated, awkward processes that I think are preventing crypto from achieving its potential, preventing professionals from becoming involved, and preventing individuals from accessing an asset that could create a successful financial future for themselves. So our resolve to fix the problems came around at Consensus 2023 in Austin, Texas. Consensus bills itself as one of the largest crypto conferences in the world. And I listened to several speakers discuss the barriers to entry, things preventing investors from investing in crypto. And these were problems that we had already identified ourselves internally. And they spoke at length about the need to remove these barriers. And our frustration just grew as we understood that everybody in the industry is recognizing these problems, talking about the need to get rid of these problems, but nobody is actively working to fix these problems and remove these barriers. So we began to understand that this discussion is only theoretical. It is just online chatter. It is just media articles. It is just a conference speaking topic. So it was here at this conference that we resolved that we are going to become the solution. We are going to actively address these problems, remove these barriers for retail investors. Now, it didn't take long to write a formal business plan because we've been researching and working in crypto for quite a while. But we did write a formal business plan because we needed to formalize our solutions to the different barriers and different problems in the industry. And of course, we needed to perform a lot of financial calculations. And what the founders determined is that we could fund a project ourselves out of pocket, but crypto is an international phenomenon. It is people from all over the world working together to create something that transcends borders, languages, cultures, nations. So right now, we have English-speaking American and Chinese-speaking people. We're thinking about doing business together. This is what crypto is all about. So we decided that this project needs to be international in scope, and that requires more capital than we had available. And that's why we are taking Gleipnir public in this offering. And in all, it took about 12 months from the time we decided to do this until where we are now that we're fully organized. We have vendors in place and we're ready to go.
详细解释一下这个项目。
So to tell you about the project. So first, understand that everything about Gleipnir is new. We are on the leading edge of blockchain. We literally stand alone at the intersection of crypto and global finance. And the concept of Gleipnir is very simple. The idea is to make it easy, convenient, and inexpensive for anyone to invest in digital assets. And to do that, we have to break down all the barriers preventing people from investing, and there are a lot of barriers preventing people from investing. So, for example, blockchain structures like DAOs, they're foreign, they're untrusted by most people. So we organize as a traditional business everybody's familiar with, a corporation. We've all heard of corporation, we've all done business with corporation. We registered with the state of Tennessee, and for those that don't know, U.S. states are sovereign entities comparable to the U.S. government or the European governments or the Chinese government. So we registered with the state of Tennessee, and so we immediately overcame the barrier of being unknown and untrusted by organizing ourselves in a form that everybody in the world is familiar with. And we know how to very easily overcome every obstacle investors face when they're approaching crypto. And we are organized to establish wholly owned subsidiaries in different countries around the world, and that enables us to comply with various regulations in different countries. But more important to us, the thing that's important to us, it enables us to successfully work with different people in different languages and different cultures by hiring professionals who are native to every single country. And through those subsidiaries, we'll offer managed digital asset index portfolios, so individual coins and tokens that compose an index, to retail investors and institutions. We'll do that through a very simple, intuitive platform that anybody of any technological skill level can easily use. And it will be a one-stop system as opposed to the current system of having to log into multiple platforms, multiple vendors, multiple interfaces to complete an action. So very simple, intuitive, one-stop. So think about it like driving a car. Drivers don't care about the engineering plans. They don't care about the details, about the engine functions. They don't care about the performance specs on the tires. People just want to get in their car, start the ignition, and drive. Investors generally don't care about all the details of blockchain technology. They just want to log into an account, invest, and go on to do something more important in their day. So the platform that we're designing allows customers to log in, very quickly complete whatever task it is they want to do, and then behind the scenes or under the hood, so to speak, the platform will connect into all these various vendors to accomplish that task without the customer having to open multiple windows and multiple logins into multiple different accounts, take multiple actions. So they'll simply click a button, accomplish their task, and receive confirmation. And then we will expand into other product lines such as multi-asset ETFs and multi-asset mutual funds. So in addition to being the only company in the world that is actively serving retail crypto investors, we'll be the only company in the world offering multi-asset ETFs and multi-asset mutual funds. And we have plans for other product lines such as hedge funds, venture capital funds, separately managed accounts. And of course, every product line is developed from the viewpoint of making things as simple and easy as possible for retail investors, institutional investors, and financial professionals. And our token owners, the people that buy Gleipnir tokens in our offering, become proportional owners in every one of these projects. And no matter where in the world they're located, our token owners are endowed with legal rights guaranteed by the state of Tennessee. So everything about Gleipnir is world first. And we're excited to make our tokens available to everyone, to democratize investing so that anyone can invest and take advantage of the opportunity. It's the same type of opportunity that the ultra wealthy, that institutions have used for generations to create and grow their wealth. And that is the opportunity to be an early investor in a new company. It's one of their primary and favored strategies that the ultra wealthy use. Unfortunately, in the past, those opportunities have always been legally restricted to the wealthy. That is until now, because among the many wonderful things that blockchain does, it tore down that investing restriction so companies like Gleipnir can work directly with retail investors and not be limited to just working with the ultra wealthy.
在开发过程中，你遇到了哪些挑战？你是如何克服他们的？
So, what difficulties, what challenges did we encounter in creating our project? How do we get past those challenges? So, two big issues really. So the first was finding all the vendors we required. So, as I've already said, crypto developers create for other developers without much input from experienced business people. And the result is that their businesses are not optimized. They are very, very well hidden on the internet, usually several pages deep on any kind of search, on any particular search engine. So it took a lot of time to find the vendors that we needed. And then once we found them, we still needed the time to conduct our due diligence, interview them about their capabilities, a lot of formal questions and answers, contract reviews, negotiations, and so forth. And once we had all our vendors in place, the project began to move pretty quickly. But then the second issue we ran into was working within current crypto constraints to develop something that's relatively easy as far as our offering platform goes. And we could have developed what we ultimately want, but the cost was going to be 5 times what we actually paid for our current platform. So we decided to conserve our capital and use what we're offering now, which is a token on the Polygon blockchain that can be funded in Tether or USD coin. And as we capitalize, though, we'll make that process much, much simpler. In our current process, even though it's a little more cumbersome than what we want, it's still relatively simple. Experienced crypto investors will find it very fast, very simple to use. Once we were past those two big challenges, our greatest barrier has been reaching global investors. So search engines don't want to show people results outside of their home country. Social media platforms do not want to show people pages outside of their home country. And that creates some difficulty when you consider that there are thousands of languages spoken in the world today. So ultimately, we selected major languages utilized by the majority of crypto investors, such as Chinese. It's one of those languages. And we've used artificial intelligence to translate our website, our social media pages, our videos into these different languages, including Chinese. But one of our big concerns is that we don't know how well everything is being translated, and we won't know unless we hire human translators and pay them huge sums of money to do this for us. So we have to rely on this artificial intelligence. And those translations, they may not be perfect, but we know they're strong enough that people can read, they can hear, they can understand, even if things look or sound a little bit awkward. And then on a daily basis, we're contacted by various crypto content creators, people just like you, from all around the world, and they're reviewing us, interviewing us, reviewing our project in different languages. So again, we're trusting that those people's translations are accurate and easy to understand. And as we establish our global subsidiaries, we'll have teams of native speakers in each country who can fine-tune translations so that they're perfectly fluent for anyone in any language in which we operate. So language barriers and big tech's approach to language has been our most recent challenge. But every day we're identifying solutions to communicate with people around the world, no matter what language they might speak.
你对 Gleipnir 的有什么期望？
So our goals for the project, well, our immediate goal is to capitalize the company well enough to ramp up operations, to complete development, begin opening subsidiaries. It's a very exciting, very fast-moving time in blockchain, and we're ready to engage more developers, organize more subsidiaries, and begin profitable business. And this is why we're focused so heavily on the Gleipnir token offering right now. Our midterm goals are to establish profitable operations in approximately 30 countries around the world. And I say approximately because the regulatory environment is very, very fluid right now. Regulations change almost weekly, and we expect some nations to take actions which cause them to revert from being a very favorable crypto market to immediately becoming a market that no crypto operation wants to be involved in. And likewise, we think there are markets that nobody wants to be involved in right now who will make some regulatory changes that make them very, very attractive to crypto operations. And simultaneously, we want to expand our product line. No one product is right for every person in every situation at every time. And so we want to create different products and approach investors where they're at to make it easy for them to access crypto through our platform. And then longer term goals are a little more nebulous because the industry and the technology is advancing so quickly. We have several good ideas, but we don't want to devote resources, time, and labor to those ideas right now because changes which are occurring constantly could easily cause our opinion and our views to change. So we'll devote resources, those long-term goals, as we advance, as we build out the company.
你能把 Gleipnir 和其他项目进行比较吗？
So to what crypto projects can we compare ourselves? So Gleipnir is literally, we're blazing the trail through blockchain, crypto, global finance. Everything we're doing is new. There's no company doing what we're proposing to do. No one's even talking about it. So there's really no blockchain project or financial project we can benchmark ourselves against. But when you consider what we're doing, using technology to make something easy, convenient, inexpensive for everyday people, there are several comparative case studies, which is a primary learning method in business school. So, for example, in the 1980s, if a person wanted to use a computer, they had to first learn how to use MS-DOS, which is very time-consuming, very expensive to do. Computers were rare. What computers did exist had very little functionality, so almost nobody took the time to learn MS-DOS, which means almost nobody was using computers. And then a man named Bill Gates had the idea that he could create a computer system so simple that anybody could intuitively use a computer, and simultaneously that he could improve functionality so that people would want to use a computer. He formed a company called Microsoft, released a product called Windows. So without Bill Gates' vision, we wouldn't be talking right now because computers as we know them just would not exist. So Microsoft is a comparative case study of making technology easy for computers to use. And then at the same time that Bill Gates was doing this, computers were huge. They were very bulky machines that cost millions and millions of dollars. Only the largest governments and the wealthiest international corporations in the world own computers. And Steve Jobs had the idea that he could make functional computers produced at such a low cost that anybody could afford to buy them. And his vision formed a company called Apple, and it's progressed to the phone that most of your viewers are holding in their hand right now. So Apple is a comparative case study of making functional technology affordable. And then Jeff Bezos, he did the same thing for retail sales when his vision led him to form Amazon to make it easy, convenient, and inexpensive for retailers to sell and consumers to buy. So Amazon is a comparative case study of making what Gleipnir proposes to do, making it easy, convenient, and inexpensive for consumers. Elon Musk did the same thing with electric vehicle technology when his vision led him to form Tesla and mass produce electric vehicles that consumers could afford to buy. So Tesla is a comparative case study of making new technology affordable on a large scale. And those entrepreneurs, they create companies that change the world by forming companies literally in their basement and in their garage. They began with nothing more than a pen and a piece of paper and an idea. And their early investors, the people that had the foresight to see what they were doing, were willing to accept some calculated risk. Those early investors have been very richly rewarded. They've become among the wealthiest people in the entire world. So Gleipnir's vision is to do the same thing with blockchain, to redefine crypto investing into something that anyone can easily, conveniently, inexpensively access. We believe we're going to become the dominant company in our space and that our investors will eventually become very wealthy. It's simply a matter of whether or not an investor has the kind of foresight, vision, and investment discipline to take that calculated risk.
Gleipnir 是如何影响全球区块链行业和加密货币投资
So how will this project, how will Gleipnir affect the global blockchain industry and crypto investing? So when we look at the very highest levels and we consider Gleipnir's place in the industry, we see Gleipnir helping bring hundreds of millions of investors to crypto by making it easy for them to do so. So a capital injection of that size easily pushes prices up for existing investors. It's very good for all of us existing crypto investors. But more importantly, it enables blockchains to expand their development farther, to advance the technology faster. And that attracts the brightest minds, the most talented developers, the most visionary entrepreneurs. And it's going to help advance blockchain to undreamed of heights in one way or another, improving the lives of everybody in the world, no matter where we're at and what we do. And our professional experience tells us that people use what they own. So introducing people to crypto will naturally cause them to begin using crypto. And as demand increases among consumers, more and more businesses will begin accepting crypto as a form of payment. As more and more businesses accept crypto, more and more consumers are going to use crypto. So it's a exponentially increasing circle that grows the crypto ecosystem. And our professional world, our experience is finance, and it is difficult to imagine, but there is several $100 trillion in capital available in the world today. And having been in this industry for over 2 decades, we know that as Gleipnir grows, as Gleipnir prospers, other financial firms will follow, and they're going to bring that capital with them. So at the very highest level, we see Gleipnir's role in blockchain is helping the technology and the industry grow quickly for the betterment of everybody in every situation.
谁应该投资这个项目
So what type of investor should invest in this project, should invest in Gleipnir? So that's interesting. I think we've already answered that question to some degree. Gleipnir enables investors anywhere in the world to quickly and easily access one of the primary investment strategies used by the ultra wealthy and the institutions to create their wealth and to grow that wealth exponentially. So Gleipnir tokens are ideal for visionary investors who have the foresight to see where technology is going. They have the vision to see where currency is going, where finance is going, where every industry in the world is going. So we're ideal for disciplined investors who will take a calculated risk in search of very great wealth. And from the Gleipnir token owner perspective, for the first time in the history of the world, they have access to invest in the same type of project institutions and the ultra wealthy use to generate these large outsized returns. So it enables retail investors for the first time to create that same type of generational wealth that they've only been dreaming of. It just requires a willingness to accept a little bit of risk, because without risk, there is no reward.
给我们介绍一下你的代币发行
So, tell you about the token offering itself. So, understand that just as Gleipnir's business line and business model are a world first, the token offering is too. So the industry is buzzing with talk about tokenized real-world assets. It's being talked about among professionals and investors alike. And for those that don't know, a real-world asset is something that physically exists in the real world, such as an office building or maybe a collection of antique automobiles. And a tokenized real-world asset means that digital tokens have been issued on a blockchain to represent your ownership interest in that real-world asset. So within the industry, we know that tokenized real-world assets are the future of blockchain, the future of global finance. And the crypto has a $2 trillion market cap, but that market cap is dwarfed by the real-world market cap of several $100 trillion. And as these real-world assets are tokenized, that market cap is moved to the digital world on blockchains. So this is something we realized about 18 months ago, but it's only caught on recently in the media and among the crypto industry and investors. So there are very, very few tokenized real-world assets available right now. But Gleipnir is a real-world organization. So our tokens are tokenized real-world assets. Every token represents an ownership interest in Gleipnir. And specifically, our tokens are what's known as a security token. Now, there are only a handful of companies in the world that have issued security tokens. And our research says that Gleipnir is the second U.S. company to publicly offer security tokens, and we're the first one to have tokenized from inception. We've never had any other form of ownership other than tokens, and we're also the first tokenized company to make an initial token offering direct to the public without first undergoing several rounds of private offerings to wealthy investors and institutions. As I said, this is a democratizing process. We're making this opportunity available to everyone in the world. So we've been tokenized on the Polygon blockchain. Polygon is a decentralized public blockchain. It's known for very quick, inexpensive, reliable transactions. In my experience, most of these transactions settle in seconds at a cost of less than 5 cents. And Gleipnir, we want to be in compliance with all the various international regulations. So we're using a U.S. regulation. It's known as Regulation S of the 1933 Securities Act. So U.S. regulators know who we are, and we are the very first company in the world to make a public offering of security tokens under Regulation S. And one of the other unique things about the offering, rather than a fixed price offering, that's where we say this is the price and you can pay it or not, we're doing what's called an at-the-market offering, which means the price is whatever an investor is willing to pay for a token. Just like whenever they're making an investment, purchasing crypto or stocks or any other type of asset, it's what you want to pay. Now, we have set a minimum of 2 Tether or 2 USD coins per token with a minimum total investment of 100. So very easy. If you have 100 Tether available, you can get 50 tokens, no problem. The entire offering is managed by a smart contract. That smart contract can be publicly viewed on the Polygon blockchain. So we're being as transparent as the technology currently allows us to be. And the offering will close when all the tokens are sold or when we achieve our maximum capitalization, whichever occurs.
你为什么选择使用代币化的现实世界资产 RWS？ 这是特别是一种证券型的代币，而不是其他类型的加密货币。
So why did we decide to use a tokenized real-world asset instead of some other form of crypto, instead of a traditional investment process? So in our internal discussions, we knew we did not want to pursue the traditional path of issuing book entry stock and moving toward the stock exchange listing. That process was created over 100 years ago when people were using steam engines, wooden sailing ships, horse and buggy, and that process has not changed since that time. It still includes multiple unnecessary middlemen, and those middlemen are very expensive, very labor intensive, very time consuming. So we knew right from the start that we were going to tokenize, and we had the idea that we could tokenize on a decentralized public blockchain because it's faster, it's less expensive, it's less labor intensive, it saves millions of dollars and years of work to do this. We did consider a DAO structure. In fact, I said I was an angel investor. One of my angel investments is Clarity Protocol. Clarity enables DAOs to be created on the Cardano blockchain in just a few minutes. And I did talk to the founder of the Clarity Protocol about our project. But our issue was regulatory compliance. Investment advisors are required to meet multiple very stringent regulations, and those regulations vary widely from country to country, and they're constantly changing. So we were very concerned about being able to stay in compliance with all these regulations while simultaneously allowing investors to vote on actions, because the investors could unwittingly cause us to go out of compliance with regulation and be fined tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. So as a DAO, we would have had to concentrate decision making in a professional staff, and that just defeats the purpose of a decentralized autonomous organization. And for the same reason, we couldn't issue a cryptocurrency or a utility token. So by process of elimination, we were led to tokenize real world assets, something that's interested me for a very long time. And at the time, tokenized real world assets, they were just a hypothetical academic discussion when we made the decision. It's become a very hot topic in the crypto community in the last few months, but at the time, nobody was talking about them when we made this decision. And we specifically focused on security tokens because securities are one of the largest asset classes in the entire world. And we believe securities are the asset class most likely to be tokenized due to the cost savings, the ease, all the conveniences that come with that. And there were no public security tokens in the world when we made that decision. One other firm was brought to the market before us, but we're still the second firm in the world to make a public offering of security tokens. And security tokens, they hold numerous advantages, not just for issuers like Gleipnir, but for investors as well. They're fast, they're inexpensive, they're easy to obtain. They trade 24/7 on global exchanges. They come with embedded legal rights, something that no other crypto has. So, for that reason, that's why we focus on tokenized real-world assets and security tokens in particular.
投资者如何购买代币？
So, how can investors buy our tokens? So, our platform is known as DS Dashboard. It was developed by Stobox Technologies, which is a very reputable, very talented international blockchain development firm. And the quickest, easiest way to access it is through our website. Just go to the investors page. There are several Invest Now buttons. Just click any of those buttons and you'll automatically be redirected to our platform. Something everyone should know, in the upper right hand corner is a drop down menu where you can select your language, and the website will automatically be translated into your language. So when you get to the platform, just establish first time login credentials, a username and password, just like you have to do everywhere else. I recommend that you go ahead and complete Know Your Customer. That's a requirement of almost every country in the world. You don't have to, but I recommend you go ahead and do that. You're not committing yourself to buy anything or do anything. And now once you're in, this is where you can find our documents. They're available in multiple different languages, including Chinese. And inside those documents are copies of all our legal filings, an attorney letter verifying that we're a real business so investors can be sure that we are in fact a real project, and a very detailed discussion of our plans. And unfortunately, the complexity of smart contracts kind of prohibited us from translating that into different languages, but any browser that you're using will be able to translate the platform into your language so it's easier for you to read. And if someone wants to invest, all they need to do is connect a MetaMask wallet and then enter their offer. How many tokens do they want? What price are they willing to pay? And do they want to pay in Tether, USD coin, or US dollars? I don't know why anybody would pay in fiat currency, but in case they do. And since we're on the Polygon blockchain, investors are going to need at least one Matic to process their transaction. Matic is the native cryptocurrency of Polygon, and one should be enough to process multiple transactions. And the smart contract will automatically email you when you register, when you pass Know Your Customer, when you send a transaction, when your tokens are issued, and so forth. We want our investors to know what's going on. We want everyone to be comfortable with this, so we'll communicate with you every step of the way. It's a relatively simple process. Experienced crypto investors with an existing MetaMask wallet should be able to log in and trade in 2 to 3 minutes. Even an inexperienced crypto investor who needs to set up a MetaMask wallet, it's only going to need 5 or 10 minutes to get in there and do this if they're tech savvy. But any investors who are new to crypto, who aren't tech savvy, should slow down and take their time. Make sure they do things correctly. Just follow all the on-stream instructions. It's very simple. And now we do hope to have additional wallets available very soon, but for now, MetaMask is the wallet of choice.
代币将在哪里交易？
So, where will tokens trade? That's a great question. So, we've already made arrangements for our tokens to trade on DS Swap. DS Swap is a decentralized public blockchain exchange that functions on any Ethereum virtual machine, public blockchain. So right now there are over 20 of those public blockchains available. For example, Polygon, BNB, and Avalanche. And like any decentralized exchange, DS Swap is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It trades globally and transactions settle in seconds. And again, that's on a public blockchain, very transparent. We've interviewed other exchanges about their capabilities and their willingness to integrate with our platform so we can create even more trading outlets, more liquidity. And several exchanges are capable of doing an integration. They're willing to do an integration. So if investor demand exists, we'll go ahead and establish relationships with those other exchanges, get them integrated, and that's going to increase global liquidity, increase and improve price discovery, and be better for investors all the way around.
你会向任何人推荐哪3本金融书籍？
So financial books that I would advise every investor to read. So that's a good question because I'm an avid reader, and there are a handful of really great financial books available. Most are garbage, but there are some that are just exceptionally good. And I have 3 favorites that I've read multiple times. I recommend them to all of our customers. In fact, I've purchased copies en masse and provided free copies to a lot of our largest customers. And I always give copies to new financial advisors. So the first is The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clausen. It's written in a storytelling style, so it's very, very entertaining to read. The second book is The Millionaire Next Door. So 2 researchers, Thomas Stanley and William Danko, spent years studying real-life multimillionaires, and then they published this book to explain that most wealthy people are self-made. They haven't inherited anything. They didn't get lucky. They are self-made, and they explain who they are and how they created that wealth. So this is a really valuable book. And then the last book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. In there, he shares his real-life experiences explaining how his biological father's lifelong actions led his biological father to a very mediocre financial life, to struggle most of his life, while his best friend's father took different actions which led him to a life of great wealth and prosperity. So I've worked with wealthy investors for well over 20 years, and I can say with absolute authority that the principles taught in those books are the exact same principles that wealthy people use to create their wealth, and they continue to use to grow their wealth. It is not theoretical. This is real life. And you would be surprised at how easy it is to become wealthy. It is not a difficult thing to do, but you're also going to be surprised at how boring it is. Forget everything you think you know about creating wealth and becoming wealthy. What you see on television and movies is fictional. It is all make-believe. In real life, it is an extremely boring process. But these 3 books, taken together and applied to a financial life, the concepts presented are going to propel anyone to wealth and financial independence. So I recommend that everybody buy copies and read also. The best business advice, best investing advice I've ever received. I've received a lot of really good advice in my life. Something that's really stuck with me. It's always stood out to me. I've never forgotten it since I was taught it. When I was a teenager, my dad assigned me a chore, and I did an exceptionally poor job. I did a terrible job at this chore. And my father, he's always been a very stern, very blunt man. And when he saw what a bad job I did, he looked at me and he said, if you're going to do something, either do it right or don't do it at all. And a variation I've heard him tell other people over the years, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing correctly. If you're going to do something, do it right. He has several variations, but this is something he reiterates over and over. And the point is, it made sense to me as soon as he said it. And I've applied it to my life ever since. No matter what the job is, no matter how small the job is, no matter how seemingly unimportant the job is, I do it to the absolute best of my ability, because if that job is worth my time and effort, it's worth being done correctly. And that is the principle I try to instill in everybody that works for me, especially the co-founders and the staff at Gleipnir, that we will do things correctly at all times. Now, investing advice, that's interesting. Because I'm a financial professional, I don't normally get advice. I'm usually the person dispensing advice. So I'm going to give you some of the advice that I've been giving clients for 20 years. So the advice is stop listening to popular financial opinion. Stop following investment fads. Stop chasing returns. Avoid get-rich-quick schemes. Those are things that everyone does, but very few of those people ever become wealthy, which will tell you that does not work. Instead, look at the wealthy and imitate what they do. About 95% of wealthy people are self-made. They've never inherited anything and they didn't get lucky, but on average, they are worth more than $5 million. So what's interesting to me on a global basis, for the most part, they manage their money and investments the same way. And if it worked for them, it will work for you. So learn what they are doing. It's a very easy thing to do. The information is freely available. Myself, I publish blogs, videos, social media posts about it all the time, and so do other people. So learn what it is wealthy people are doing and then mimic their actions. And so that's it. Always do things correctly and mimic the self-made wealthy and how they accumulate and manage their own money.
这次采访太棒了 ，Steve 是一个非常有远见的领导者，他对金融和区块链技术的变革潜力有着深刻的理解。他致力于让每个人都能够接触到加密货币，这真的让人鼓舞人心。这次采访对我来说是一个亮点，我知道对你们来说也会是的，一定要完整观看视频，了解更多关于 Gleipnir 的信息，前往他们的网站了解更多关于该项目信息以及如何参与其中。链接在下面的描述中，我还会留下这个视频中所有有用的链接，以获取更详细的信息。是时候让加密货币投资变得简单且人人可及了，让我们一起建立这个加密货币社区，不要忘记点击订阅按钮，以获取更多令人兴奋的加密货币内容。我们下期再见。